One of the most common statements in Warhammer 40,000 lore is that the Emperor of Mankind banned religion, usually followed by, because religion leads to chaos. That statement is close enough to sound correct and wrong enough to hide what actually doomed the Imperium. Today we're going to discuss how that difference manifested in the destruction of not religion alone, but authority. You've probably heard somewhere something similar to this. During the Great Crusade, the Emperor enforced the Imperial Truth, outlawed religion, and crushed faith whenever it appeared, and replaced it with secular rationalism. And to be clear, this interpretation makes sense. The Imperium of the 41st millennium is ruled by a state religion that directly empowers the warp. But when we look at how the policy itself is described in the source material, something more specific is happening. Before we go any further, let's address this. The Emperor absolutely understood that belief could empower entities in the warp. He knew sustained worship could strengthen gods, including the Chaos Gods. This is explicit in the Master of Mankind, where the warp is described as a psychic reflection of mortal emotion, thought, and belief. So no, this wasn't ignorance. Chaos was real, known, and dangerous. Here's where the interpretation collapses into multiple ideas at once. The Emperor does not frame religion as dangerous because it worships chaos. He frames religion as dangerous because it creates authority structures independent of the Imperium. In the last church, the priest is not corrupted. He is not preaching chaos. There is no demonic influence. And yet the church is destroyed. The Emperor's objection is not belief. It's who gets to define truth and morality in the galaxy. That distinction matters. Belief can feed chaos, but authority scales belief. Throughout the Great Crusade, we still see cultural rituals, venerated heroes and ancestors, and mythologized histories. What is consistently suppressed are priesthoods, churches, doctrines, moral authority derived from supernatural rather than governance. Chaos worship is the worst case outcome in these situations, not the only one. So then that leads us to one defining question. Why not explain the danger openly? Because the Emperor believed most of humanity could not safely interact with that knowledge. I mean, let's be honest. Could you? With the schemings of Tzeentch, the seduction of Slaanesh, the promise of power from Khorne, or the promise of release from whatever's ailing you in life from the grandfather? Now imagine you're a citizen in the Imperium of Man, where all of your anxieties and everything terrible is increased by 1,000 times. The Emperor knew that humanity would break under that kind of pressure. This concept appears repeatedly in Custodes' perspectives and Imperial planning documents in both the Master of Mankind and the Horus Heresy Book 7, Inferno. The solution was not education, it was containment. Religion wasn't banned because it worshipped chaos. It was banned because it was the most efficient delivery system chaos had. Lorgar and the Wordbearers are often cited as proof that chaos was the real reason religion was banned, but the timeline doesn't support that. The Emperor punishes Wordbearers before they fall to chaos in The First Heretic by Aaron Dembski-Bowden in 2010. Their crime wasn't corruption. It was building an independent spiritual authority, even when that authority worshipped the Emperor himself. Chaos doesn't cause the fall. The vacuum does. You're probably asking why this matters. And here's my point. If belief itself had been eliminated, the Imperial Cult could not have emerged so quickly after the Emperor's internment. But belief was never removed, only regulated. When centralized authority collapsed, belief remained. Chaos didn't need to invent religion. It inherited it. That's not hypocrisy. That's policy failure. The strongest counterargument is that discouraged belief is functionally the same as banning it. In practice, that's often true, But the lore remains consistent in one crucial way. Punishment always follows organization, not belief alone. If you can point to a source where belief absent rebellion or authority is punished, I genuinely want to see it. Chaos was the risk, authority was the target, and by refusing to explain the difference, the Emperor guaranteed that when control failed, belief would become a weapon. And when people say that Magnus failed in every single possible way, he got it from his dad. If you made it this far, thank you so much. What should we talk about next? Should we talk about how impossibly wrong Magnus was, or should we give him a little bit of leeway? Thanks. See you next time.